Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Now we have already learned a lot of drawing tools and modification tools in Sketcher. Today we are going to make an exercise that you see on your screen. So let's begin. Now I've already opened Catia, so let me just close this default file and go to part design. Let me just give it the name. Since it's our first exercise, and I'll go to the Sketcher straight away. Okay, so I'm in Sketcher right now. Now you are already aware, if I make a line and I keep it in a manner so that I'm trying to make it horizontal, and if you keep your cursor in the horizontal direction, okay, it will turn blue at some point. If you move your cursor, it will turn blue at some point. That actually implies that the line that you are making right now is horizontal, okay? And if I click, the line will be made and horizontal constraint will be applied. Now if I try and make a line like this, okay, something like this, okay, at some point it will turn blue. That implies that it is now vertical and a vertical constraint will be applied. Okay, so this is the way in which you can make lines which are horizontal and vertical. Okay, and this is happening because in sketch tools, this particular tool, this particular option, which is geometrical constraints, is there, it's on. Okay, but consider this. Suppose, let me just delete these lines. Suppose if I'm making a line and for some reason I could not make it horizontal or vertical because I was too fast. Okay, suppose something like this. Okay, you can always apply the constraint later on, as we know, by going to this particular tool, which is constraint defined in dialog box, and apply the constraint. Okay, you can also apply horizontal or vertical constraint directly by right clicking on the line and going to the last option, this, and selecting the option from here. Okay, say if I want to make it horizontal, I can make it horizontal from here as well. Okay, if I want to make it vertical, I'll right click on the line, go to the last option and apply the constraint which is vertical. Okay, this is another option I told you just because so that you can make yourself fast. Okay, so this is the way I'm going to make the sketch. Okay, I can see that I have a horizontal line, okay, and I have a vertical line, so I've made those lines. I have one more horizontal line here and I have one more vertical line here. Okay, so I'll make them two. Suppose something like this. Okay, if the lines were not horizontal or vertical, I could have made them horizontal or vertical by applying the constraint. Okay, either from here or by right clicking. Okay, now I can also see that there is a semicircle here, and two holes, okay, and a radius here. Okay, before I do that, I would like to apply dimensional constraint, which is 100 and 100. Okay, so I'll apply these constraints first just to make my drawing a little bit stick to scale. Okay, I don't know what this line length is, so I'll apply these constraints first. So let me apply these. This I need to be 100. Okay, so let me make it 100. I'll double click and edit the value. Also, this needs to be 100. Okay, so let me just make the constraint and double click to edit the value. Okay, so this is these are the two lines that I actually require. Okay, what about these two lines? Do I know their lengths? Okay, I don't know their lengths. Okay, I can find out their lengths perhaps, but I don't want to do the math. Okay, so I know this line's distance from this line. Okay, I know this distance. As you can see, this radius is 15. Okay, this circle, this semicircle's radius is 15. So this will be 30. Okay, and also this will be 30. Okay, so let me apply that constraint instead. Suppose, okay, let me just apply this. Now I am strategizing this as I go. Okay, you can of course create a strategy first and then make it. I'm just showing you how I do it. Okay, you can do it in the way you like. Okay, now what's next? I want to make this arc also. Okay, like the semicircle. Let me make these arcs also. Okay, so I like to I like to go to this option, which is 3-point arc starting with limits. Okay, this one. So I'll select this as my first limit, this as my second limit, and apply a this sort of semicircle. Now in our drawing, actually this semicircle is actually tangent to this line and this line. Okay, it's not shown here of course, but you can see that this is actually tangent to this line as well as this line. So what I'll do is I'll apply a tangency constraint by selecting this option, constraint defined in dialog box. I'll select this arc and I'll select this line and go to this constraint defined in dialog box and then apply the constraint, which is tangency. Okay, this is also tangent to this line, so I'll select this and apply the tangency constraint. Okay, so can you see that it's now telling me, can you see that the sketch has now turned pink? Okay, I'm just giving you a real life scenario because it can happen. Okay, if you're not careful, it can happen. Now what's happening here is that it's basically over constrained right now. Okay, that means that the constraints that you have applied, they are sort of making it over constrained. Okay, so the best way to solve this is you delete a few constraints that you applied previously. Okay, in my case I see this 30 is this constraint. Okay, I can delete this. Let me just delete this. Okay, so this has gone a little too different. Okay, let me just press Ctrl Z so that I can return to my previous. Okay, now let me just, what I'll do is I'll delete this circle, or yeah, I'll delete this semicircle. Okay, let me just delete this. Okay, let me just delete this 30 constraint as well. Let me now apply this tangent with arc. Okay, let me select this as my first endpoint, this as my second endpoint. Okay, something like this. Let me apply tangency constraint now. Okay, I'll go and apply the tangency constraint. Let me apply tangency constraint to this as well. Okay, what's happening here is that this is making it tangent, but it is also sort of interrupting my arc. Okay, so let me just move this a little bit like this. Okay, now let me apply something like this and apply tangency. Can you see now it has made it tangent? Okay, so these kind of scenarios are likely to occur when you are first creating a sketch. Okay, so I'd suggest you try and make it on your own, devise a strategy how you want to make it, and overcome the problems that you face. Okay, like I did, I deleted the constraint and tried another method. Okay, so this is the way you're likely to progress, this is the way you're likely to learn the most. Okay, so now I can see that here also I need the same sort of semicircle. Okay, here also I need that. Okay, so what I can do is I can apply this arc again, starting with limits. Okay, something like this. See, it's all, when I'm moving my cursor, can you see that it's applying certain constraints on its own? Can you see that it's now applying the tangency constraint with respect to the top line, right? So I can also apply the constraint while I'm moving my cursor. Okay, it's your choice. If at any point it's trying to apply constraint that you don't desire, suppose, can you see if okay, it's likely to happen, but suppose if I don't want to apply this tangency constraint. Okay, I'm just giving you an example so that you learn. When you move your cursor, it's likely to apply a certain constraint. Okay, if you don't want a constraint to be applied, you can press the shift key. Okay, can you see if I press the shift key, the constraint is not getting applied. Okay, to prevent undesired constraints from getting applied, you can press the shift key. Okay, I'm not pressing the shift key because in my case I want certain constraints to get created, this particular constraint to get created. Okay, so I won't press the shift key and let it apply this tangency constraint. Okay, so it saves me a step. Now I can make this arc tangent to this as well. Okay, so let me apply this tangency constraint as well. Now again, can you see that this sort of thing is happening? Okay, it's turning pink. That means it sort of is over constrained. Okay, so let me just apply this and delete this 30 constraint. Okay, this dimension constraint. Okay, now it's again happening something like this. Okay, so I'll do Control Z. I'll delete this. Okay, and I'll press Control Z. Okay, so what's happening is this sort of arc I've not made it, sort of complete. So what I can do is, let me just delete this 30 constraint. Let me do Control Z. Let me delete this tangency as well. Okay, I'll do Control Z. Let me just bring this line a little bit forward now and now try and apply that arc. Okay, something like this. Okay, could have applied tangency, but anyway. And now I'm applying this tangency constraint between this and this. Okay, so let me apply tangency. Let me apply tangency to this as well. Okay, now it's getting applied, right? But now you can see that it's sort of moving in space, right? Can you see that it's moving in space? And okay, let me come to that later. But can you see that this circle is actually changing in its value, in its dimension, but this circle is not, because I have applied this 30, right? It's this 30 dimensional constraint. Okay, you can either delete it, okay, or apply radius value to this and this, or you can keep it or apply this also as 30. But since I've mentioned in the exercise that you should try and constrain it the way it is there in the drawing, so I'll delete this 30. Okay, I should not have actually applied it in the first place, but anyway, what I can do is I can apply the radius constraint or diameter constraint to this. Let me just select the circle and apply a radius value of 15. Let me apply a radius value of 15 to this as well. It's not 15, so let me just double click and make it 15. Okay, so now you will see that this is more or less made. Okay, this is more or less complete, except that I need a radius here as well, as you see. Okay, there is a radius value of 10, also 2 holes here. So let us make first these 2 holes. Okay, so holes can be applied again by using this circle tool. Okay, circle, I'll select, and I already have this semicircle of which a point is there. Okay, a point of that arc is there, so I'll take my cursor to that particular location and you will see the dot turn blue, solid blue. Okay, so it will try and make, so you can see when I move my cursor, it's trying to overlap that circle as well. Okay, so I'll make it somewhat smaller and apply, or let me just create the second circle too first, second hole. Okay, so this is of the value dia 10, so I'll apply this dimensional constraint. I'll double click for the value, again this as well, double click, I'll change the value to 10. Okay, so almost made. I also need this corner can be applied using this particular tool in operation, which is corner. I'll select this line as my first. I want to trim it, right? So I'll select this option, trim all elements. I'll select this as my first line, this is my second line, and apply some value. Okay, I can change it by double clicking and 10. Now you will see that actually the sketch has been made complete. Okay, it's exactly like the one that you see in this particular picture, right? But what has happened here is that it's not fully constrained. Can you see that it is not fully constrained? Okay, now it is because this is not constrained with respect to vertical and horizontal, although it is fully constrained in itself. Okay, so to make a sketch fully constrained, you would always need to position it with respect to vertical and horizontal as well. Okay, To make your sketch fully constrained, even if it constrained within itself, that means it is constrained by itself, its own dimensions and geometry won't change, but you need to position it in space with respect to vertical and horizontal to turn it fully constrained. Okay, even though it is constrained sort of, okay, but it will show me as under constrained. Okay, so to make it fully constrained, what you need to do is you need to position it with respect to vertical and horizontal. So what I can do is I can make this line either coincident with this horizontal, okay, it will position it, and I can make this line as coincident with vertical, or I can give distances from horizontal and vertical to these lines. Okay, any of the lines, horizontal or vertical, you can give the distances to. I like to make it coincident, so I'll make it coincident. I'll select this line and I'll select the vertical and I'll make it coincident. Okay, I can also make this line and this horizontal or horizontal axis as coincident. Okay, so this will turn it fully green, as you can see. So this is the first sketch made, and you can see the status by going to tools, toolbar. Although I've not told you this tool, I will tell it to you in the future, but just for analyzing, you can go to this sketch solving status, tools, sketch solving status, click on this, and you will see that this is now ISO constrained. Okay, that means it's fully constrained. This is the sketch that we desire. Okay, now coming back to four conditions actually that I mentioned, that sketch should be fully constrained. Okay, it is fully constrained. Sketch should be closed. Can you see that there is this outer profile that is closed? Okay, it is a closed profile. Also this is a sort of hole, it is closed. Okay, this is a sort of profile which is closed. Okay, so it's comprised of closed profiles. Can you see? So sketch is closed, sketch is fully constrained. Okay, what else? What was the other condition? That sketch should not be self-intersecting. Can you see any line actually intersecting with another line? It's not there, right? This line is actually tangent to this circle, and the end point is actually coinciding with this. Okay, so it's sort of where this line ends is the other line started. There's no overlap of sort. Okay, so there is no self-intersection happening. The sketch is closed, the sketch is fully constrained. The last condition that was there was that there should be no standard point, this sort of point. Okay, this sort of point should not be there in the sketch. And can you see that there is any point like this? Right now it is. Let me just delete this. So there should not be point like this. Let me just delete that. So you can see this is a sketch actually now ready to be converted to part. Okay, you can convert it to part easily. Let me just show this. I'm not telling you part design workbench right now, but just to pique your interest, let me just exit this workbench and make it a part so that you can see how actually we make parts from sketch. Can you see now? It's ready to be made into part. Okay, so this is something that we learn as we progress through exercises. Now coming back to the sketch again. Okay, so this is our first sketch made. I hope you were able to complete this exercise. I'll suggest you do it on your own. Even if you understand how I have made it, it would help you a great deal if you make it on your own as well. Okay, so that is it in this video. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.